Agnihotra is a process for the purification of the atmosphere through the agency of fire. It comes from the Vedas. Vedas is the ancientmost body of knowledge known to mankind. It is given in a language called Sanskrit, which was nobody's mother tongue any time on earth. All languages come from Sanskrit. So far European languages are concerned, they come via Latin and Greek, they all come from Sanskrit. That means this knowledge existed all over the planet, but in course of time it got lost and now it is being resuscitated. At the time of creation, these Vedas were given and several sciences were given at that time. Agnihotra is the basic process in the science of medicine, the science of agriculture, the science of climate engineering, and the science of interplanetary communication. This simple Agnihotra is tuned to the biorhythm of sunrise and sunset. The ancients described sunrise like this: the coordinate of the planet where the sun appears to rise. A flood of energy comes from the sun, which consists of several types of electricities and subtle energies. They are using the word electricity in the plural. And also they use the phrase where the sun appears to rise, because sun does not rise and sun does not set. It is the rotation of the planet which gives an appearance of sunrise and sunset. This inundation of energy comes like a shock to the point where we say the sun is set to rise. These energies come in the shape of a pyramid, and at sunset they are also withdrawn in the shape of a pyramid. This is how the ancients describe it. Then they give several definitions of sunrise and sunset, but only one particular definition is to be used for the purpose of healing the atmosphere, for removing disease in an area, for giving nutrition to all plant kingdom, and for removing stress and burden on the mind. The computers in different countries are all based on this particular program, based on this one particular definition as given by the Rishis. So this Agnihotra simple process, it's very easy to practice, very simple. This is to be done exactly at that time. If you miss the time, then it is not Agnihotra. It will not give you the effect. For Agnihotra, we need a pyramid, copper pyramid. Copper and gold are the only two metals prescribed for this purpose in the ancient science of Ayurveda. It is this lost science of medicine. We can say nearly 90% of it is lost and what remains is just a little. So copper and gold are the only two metals prescribed. You see several women wearing copper bracelets, copper bangles for healing. In some ancient traditions, it was the custom to keep water in a copper bowl for the whole night, cover it with a copper cup, and next morning drink it from that copper cup, because something is absorbed in that water by keeping it water for the whole night, and that is good for the body. This particular pyramid prescribed for this purpose of simple Agnihotra has 3 steps. and this is of a fixed size. It has to be exactly the same size. This is the size prescribed. So whatever time is given by this computer now based on that particular definition, we prepare fire in this copper pyramid. And the fire is prepared. For that purpose, we use dried cow dung, that is dung from the male or female of a cow, the progeny of a cow. In all ancient traditions, all over the world, cow dung, that means from the offspring of a cow, male or female, cow dung is treated as an extremely medicinal substance. Especially if you go to the Native Americans, what are called the Native Indians, American Indians, there are several hundred different groups in North America, Central America, and many in South American countries, for example. Everywhere where these Indians are, they hold this substance, cow dung, as a extremely medicinal. If you refer to books written in the beginning of this century, in, for example, some languages like Germany, for example, you will find some things written about cow dung as medicine. As recent as, for example, say 30-35 years ago, in places like Scandinavia, there used to be treatments based on cow dung for tuberculosis. Of course, the patient was asked to stay in a cow shed because cow dung has some special medicinal value. Ancient texts which have come traditionally tell many things about this cow dung. Then other thing is this rice. It is better to use what is called, it is raw rice, integral rice. The rice has to be unbroken rice, because if the rice is broken, the chemical analysis of both the parts may be the same, but the subtle energy structure around that rice is disturbed, and then it is not fit for this, for purpose of healing. Then the next thing we require is what is called clarified butter from cow's milk. Normally butter available is salted butter and some additives are there, so it will not work. We have to have just plain unsalted butter from cow's milk. You prepare this clarified butter in a simple way as it is given in that pamphlet. That is, you heat it on low heat and remove the things which come on the top, pass through a strainer, and that will give you this substance called clarified butter. It can remain without refrigeration for a long time. Actually, the older it gets, it becomes more and more medicinal according to Ayurveda. There are references what happens after 10 years, what happens after 100 years if you keep this, even several hundred years. If you keep it, what happens, there are references in this ancient science of medicine called Ayurveda. But for Agnihotra purpose, it's not necessary to use the old ones. You can just use it fresh also. You have to prepare a fire. For example, you keep one piece of cow dung at the bottom and arrange all the other pieces of cow dung so that there is a hole in the center. Then you light one piece of cow dung by applying a little of this clarified butter. You can apply the clarified butter to these pieces of cow dung and also this, because this clarified butter is an extremely medicinal substance also according to ancient science of Ayurveda. Then apply this clarified butter, then light this one piece and you insert it in the center, and quickly the whole thing catches fire. A good fire has to be kept ready just before that time, and when that time as given in the timetable comes, actually you have to add to the rice a few grains of this plain rice, unbroken rice, for example. You have to add that to the fire. But before you do that, you apply this clarified butter to this rice. And then, exactly at that moment, there are two mantras. One mantra you add once, second mantra you add just a few grains of rice you add at that time. These two mantras, there are two in the morning, two in the evening. The second mantra of the morning is the same as the second mantra of the evening. It is very simple. A child can learn it in a few minutes. How the ancients describe the effects of this process, for example, they tell us that exactly at this time, if we put these grains of rice into a blazing fire, that's why the fire has to be blazing, and there is a hole in the center where you can drop these grains of rice, to which this clarified butter to apply to the body of that rice. When this is done, they say that so far as this earth is concerned, because they are talking of numberless billions of universes, then they tell us about our solar system, and then they tell us about our planet Earth. Now what I am referring to is about this earth, our earth. They say the effect goes approximately 12 kilometers above the earth, and while this flame is going on for a few minutes, after you put this rice along with the mantra exactly at that time, then there will be an aura energy field around each blade of grass, each tree, each plant in the vicinity. So this effect goes up to say 12 kilometers, and again it rebounds to the pyramid where it came from, and while coming down it brings in nutrition from above the planet, and this nutrition gets caught up in these hundreds or thousands of aura energy fields in the vicinity where this Agnihotra is practiced. That is the description given by the yogis. This is the description given by the ancient seers about this process. They say that this has a wonderful effect on pathogenic bacteria. This is used to remove disease in an area. If you practice this even for a couple of weeks or even less, you will see how the stress on the mind goes away, because atmosphere, prana and mind are connected. Any change induced in the atmosphere, beneficial or detrimental, immediately the effect is transposed to the mind. If you bring about a beneficial change in the atmosphere based on this process, immediately the effect goes to the mind, and the modus operandi, the nexus, is the prana. Prana is that vital energy which pulsates through us and connects us with the cosmos. So atmosphere, prana and mind, this is the link. So you will see that just in a few days the stress on the mind goes, and what we call love appears. Love appears in the house where this is practiced, for example. And when that happens, then naturally all your effort becomes less, whether you want to meditate. I mean, all our effort to be happy, to lead a happy life while leading our normal life, all that effort is reduced by practice of this simple thing. We have seen that plants grow wonderfully without any fertilizer. Their disease goes away. Now, if somebody is a plant pathologist,